Loki stopped being a side character and became the MCU's multiverse anchor, and most viewers didn't realize it until it was already done. He spends Phase 4 and 5 as the single character who understands the multiverse better than anyone else in the MCU, including the Sorcerer Supreme. Fans point out that Loki Season 1 opens with him watching a highlight reel of his own worst moments on a TVA screen, which is the fastest way to strip a character of their ego before rebuilding them completely. By Season 2, he's time-slipping without dying, pulling himself through his own timeline repeatedly, and the finale ends with him holding the entire multiverse together by hand at the end of time. Alone, forever. Supporters say that's the most consequential character arc in the post-Endgame MCU, and it happened in a Disney Plus show most casual viewers treated as optional. Peter Parker did not just lose his secret identity, he lost every human connection. No Way Home ends with the memory wipe, and most viewers processed it as Peter losing his reputation, but the actual consequence is significantly darker. Fans point out that May is dead, Happy doesn't know who he is, MJ and Ned have no memory of him. And the Peter left standing at the end has zero support structure of any kind. No Stark backing, no SHIELD contact, no Avengers connection, no family. He moves into a bare apartment and sews a new suit by hand. Supporters note that every previous Spider-Man moment in the MCU was built on someone knowing and caring who Peter Parker was, and No Way Home removes all of it simultaneously in the final act. The cheerful multiverse adventure ends with one of the loneliest setups in the franchise's history. Wanda's grief quietly became one of the MCU's most dangerous multiverse problems. WandaVision is the moment the MCU stopped treating emotional trauma as a character detail and started treating it as a plot-level threat. Fans point out Wanda accidentally creates a pocket reality containing an entire town of trapped people purely through unprocessed grief, suggesting her power ceiling is essentially unlimited when her emotions aren't under control. Supporters note that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness then shows her accessing the Darkhold and dreamwalking across universes searching for her children, having apparently spent the entire gap between projects studying a book specifically designed to corrupt its reader. The MCU introduced this idea in a sitcom format where she's dressed as a 1950s housewife. Nobody missed Wanda becoming a villain. Most people missed how quietly the franchise built the case that her grief was always going to get there. Sam Wilson became Captain America in a world that still didn't know what Captain America meant anymore. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is essentially a 6-episode argument about whether the title has any meaning left, and Sam has to have that argument with the government, with Bucky, with Isaiah Bradley, and with himself before he picks up the shield properly. Fans point out Isaiah Bradley is the detail most viewers underweighted, a black super soldier imprisoned and experimented on by the same government that turned Steve Rogers into a national symbol. His existence in the MCU retroactively complicates every Captain America film that came before it. Supporters say Sam putting on the suit at the end isn't a triumphant handoff. It's a conscious decision to carry something complicated rather than walk away from it. The show is less about Sam becoming Captain America and more about the MCU finally asking whether Captain America should exist at all. The post-Endgame MCU quietly built a Young Avengers roster in plain sight, and almost nobody connected the dots until the lineup was nearly complete. WandaVision introduces Billy and Tommy, Wiccan, and Speed in the comics. Hawkeye hands the identity to Kate Bishop. Ms. Marvel introduces Kamala Khan. Quantumania brings Cassie Lang into her full stature setup. The Marvels positions Kamala alongside Carol and Monica Rambeau. Fans point out Marvel placed these characters across completely separate projects over 3 years with no formal announcement and no scene where they share the same room. Supporters argue this is the most patient setup in the franchise's history, slower than the original Avengers build, distributed across streaming and theatrical releases simultaneously. The Young Avengers announcement isn't coming. It already happened across 6 different origin stories the audience watched, without realizing they were all the same story. The Ten Rings are still sending a signal, and nobody has explained it. The Shang-Chi post-credits scene shows Wong, Bruce Banner, and Carol Danvers examining the rings together, confirming they're genuinely ancient and actively broadcasting to an unknown location. That scene aired in 2021. Fans point out the rings predate every known civilization in the MCU by thousands of years, which puts them in a category far older than almost any known Earth-based artifact. Supporters note that as of the current MCU timeline, no follow-up has addressed what the signal is, where it's going, or whether anything responded.
We're sending a message.
A message to where?
3 named Avengers acknowledged it on screen. The franchise moved on immediately. Something out there received that signal. The MCU hasn't introduced it yet. Kamala Khan's mutant reveal quietly changed the future of the MCU, and the way it was delivered is the detail most people missed. Ms. Marvel. Episode 6 has Bruno tell Kamala her powers come from a genetic mutation, and the X-Men animated series theme plays for exactly 1 second underneath the dialogue. Fans clocked it instantly. Supporters point out this makes Kamala the MCU's first confirmed post-Endgame mutant, which means the entire framework for mutants existing in this universe was established not in an X-Men film or a major announcement, but in the final episode of a show about a teenage girl from New Jersey who likes Captain Marvel. The X-Men are coming. Marvel announced it through a character who has never been associated with the X-Men in any previous adaptation, then kept moving like nothing happened. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine spent the post-Endgame era building a darker Avengers replacement, and the MCU introduced her so casually that half the audience forgot she existed between appearances. She recruits John Walker in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She shows up in Black Widow's post-credits scene, recruiting Yelena and immediately pointing her at Hawkeye. She appears in Wakanda Forever. Fans point out she's the only character in the post-Endgame MCU actively assembling a team across multiple projects without a single scene explaining her full agenda. Supporters argue she's the Nick Fury of whatever comes next, operating in the background of Phase 4 and 5 the same way Fury operated in Phase 1, except her team appears designed to work outside the oversight structures the original Avengers operated within. The Thunderbolts project is the reveal of something that's been running since Endgame ended. The sacred timeline didn't gradually open across Phase 4, it shattered in one moment, and everything after was the fallout. Loki Season 1 ends with Sylvie killing He Who Remains, and the timeline immediately branching into infinite variants. Fans point out that every multiverse threat the MCU introduced after that, every variant villain, every reality-crossing event, every incursion, traces back to that single moment in the Citadel at the end of time. No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, the Council of Kings, and Ant-Man 3, all downstream of Sylvie's decision. Supporters say most viewers experienced the consequences of the Loki finale before they understood what caused them, which means the entire audience spent Phase 4 watching a disaster unfold in the wrong order without realizing it. The post-Endgame MCU is a handoff story disguised as a multiverse story. Sam gets the shield, Kate gets the bow, Yelena inherits the Black Widow mantle. Riri Williams builds the next generation of Iron Man technology in Wakanda Forever. Cassie Lang suits up. America Chavez learns to control her powers. Fans point out many major Phase 4 and 5 projects contain at least one scene where a legacy character transfers something to someone younger and less established. Supporters argue the multiverse chaos is the distraction. The actual project running since Endgame is the systematic replacement of the original Avengers with a new generation that doesn't share their history, their relationships, or their public trust. The next Avengers film isn't assembling a team, it's introducing strangers to each other for the first time.